Hey guys, I just hadn't posted a video in a while, and I wanted to say hello and give you a quick update. The semester is wrapping up. This is my last term. I just defended my MA project, and all is going well, but I've been very, very busy, so I haven't been on the interwebs. I haven't been blogging or vlogging or doing other things that end in ogging. I just finished grading a round of quizzes and distributing an extra credit assignment for my students who are failing miserably, because I'm so generous. So I've just been busy. But let's see, what are some fun things that I can tell you about? I just got back from a traditional archery rendezvous with a bunch of southern bow hunters, which was a lot of fun. I dragged Corvus along with me, and we spent 3 days car camping and hanging out at this big event. And there were a bunch of novelty shoots, and there were a bunch of 3D target shoots, and just generally speaking, lots of archery. And that's been a lot of fun. I'm still pretty heavily involved with the club on campus, so I've been shooting pretty much every day. And that's been a lot of fun. I talked a little bit about this in the first and I think only video I've done where I've talked much about archery. But I am working towards ultimately learning essentially how to hunt. I'm still uncomfortable with many things about this. I'm still doing a lot of research. I'm still learning a lot, talking to a lot of people, and just improving at the skill itself. But that's still my goal at this point. And I've really been wrestling with this from a religious standpoint, just because I noticed when I did that first video about, sorry, my lip is like bleeding here. Just had a bar fight or something. That's all right. Anyway, I noticed when I did that first video where I talked a little bit about archery and hunting and these goals that I had, I got a lot of like thumbs down. I noticed I had several people unsubscribe, and that's fine. You know, that's cool. But I think there's some kind of nerve there. And I've seen this, you know, on forums and on Tumblr and on just generally speaking at festivals and pagan spaces where these kinds of conversations happen. There's a general kind of attitude against hunting and hunters. And that's not really a part of my background, just because I'm from a big city. I didn't grow up around hunters and hunting, and this isn't a conversation that we had very frequently. Usually when the conversation swayed towards the environment and environmentalism, the issues were always about pollution in the city and that sort of thing, as opposed to hunters, because you just don't see hunters running around Washington, D.C. As I move further south, that is not the case. Hunting is an important part of the culture down here. But obviously it's something that people are sensitive about. So please, as always, I'm interested in your views. Share your views with me, please. But anyway, these are things that I've been struggling with in the last few months, just because my attitude, where I'm coming from, is that I am a meat-eating pagan who purports to be practicing a tradition that, while I'm uncomfortable calling a nature religion, specifically just because the term nature doesn't really mean anything to me, and I think just generally, like, this is a kind of social construct. I'm not usually really sure what people mean when they say nature. Or rather, I think I know what they think they mean, but it doesn't necessarily carry a lot of weight with me, just because I find usually when people talk about nature, they're not coming from a place where they've ever actually really interacted with wilderness or natural spaces, or I don't know. Anyway, so being someone who purports to be a member of a tradition where the concept of nature, if nebulous, is at least important, I thought it would be a valuable experience, sort of like when I started with the long distance hiking. It would be a valuable experience to have a stronger relationship with this thing we call nature, especially in working with a horned god, right? If my if my conception of God is related to natural cycles, whether they're agricultural cycles or whether we're talking about things that just happen in the wilderness, we're talking about horned animals, especially deer and that ilk. It makes sense if I'm going to have a relationship with gods that fit into this kind of paradigm that I should have an experience with the environment in which they dwell. So learning about hunting and potentially learning how to hunt seemed kind of natural. It made a lot of sense to me. It still makes a lot of sense to me, which is not to say that I'm really thrilled about the idea of inflicting death upon, knowingly, upon another creature. But I think it's hypocritical as a meat eater to simultaneously like cast some kind of judgment on particular kinds of communities, especially locally, where hunting is an important part of their kind of economy, of the way their families function, etc. So this is something I want to explore. And anyway, it's been marvelously fruitful so far. I've learned a whole lot. I've developed an appreciation for the South and I'm not always real like that by itself is like this nebulous thing, right? But I've developed an appreciation for the land in which I have been thrust in a way that I don't think I would have otherwise. Actually going out and hanging out with some of these guys and listening to them tell their stories about, you know, how they were raised and, you know, how they learned through their family, and getting to see what they've done with all of the animals that they've personally killed. Like, oh, well, I made this jacket or this pouch or whatever out of the leather, and I learned how to tan the hide, and I used the antlers for the tips on my recurve bow, and blah blah blah. Like, that's really fascinating, and that's something that I think I'd like to get a better handle on. So that's what I'm doing. It's very much a religious exercise for me, in addition to just being curious and just being interesting. And I'm very much going through this as part of my own kind of religious development. This seemed like a way to augment what we do in ritual, the things that have been important to me in my particular brand of paganism. And it's been a way to connect with my environment, again, in a way that I don't think I'd be able to otherwise. So when it actually comes down to whether or not this is something I get to do, right, like we'll see. But for right now, this has been really great. And if nothing else, I'm spending a ton of time outside. I've been spending a ton of time in the woods. Shooting has been really great. It's calming, it's meditative, it's relaxing. I get to blow off some steam. It's helped me with my focus, and it's just a lot of fun. So that's mostly what I've been up to. Archery and grading and master's stuff, and that's about it. So you haven't seen much of me, and that's why. But yeah, so I hope you guys are all well. I'm still watching videos. Many of you guys look like you're up to interesting things. I've got my subscriber list right here, and people are posting lots of stuff. But yes, so I hope you're well. And I will see you probably in a couple of weeks when I'm actually done and not exhausted anymore. So, okay.